So, LukaNation, welcome back to another episode of Lucas Tigers and Bronze. This is an episode that I'm very excited for, and I think you guys should be too for a few reasons. Whether you're a buyer, a seller, a young entrepreneur, aspiring, there's going to be a lot here, right? So, the gentleman I have in front of me, other than my handsome co-host with the new haircut, you guys might know them. It's Grant LaFontaine. I hope I pronounced that right. And Eric Shmetov. And Grant is CEO of Whatnot. Eric is head of sports at Whatnot. Unless you were under a rock, basically, you know what Whatnot and what it's done for the hobby, right? Both Pokemon and sports cards. And these guys are young entrepreneurs. I'm really excited to pick their brain and learn how they're scaling Whatnot. Learn about some of the trust and safety they have on their platform, and also talk to these guys because they're true collectors at heart, right? They built this. We were talking a little bit off stage and started with in a garage in Phoenix. But Grant was, buying and selling Pokemon cards, so when he was 7 years old. Hell, he probably sold a few to Cage or bought a few from Cage. So I'm really excited for today's episode. We're going to cover a few different things, Whatnot, trust and safety, which is more important now than ever, and go in a little different direction. So Grant, Eric, I want to welcome you guys to the show. This is an episode I've been looking forward to for a long time. I appreciate you taking the time to join us today.
Thanks so much for having us on. Really appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
He did a Cage intro. 2 minutes in, the only one talking. It's usually my role. My role is usually to just, go on a monologue. I love it. That's because you're
excited.
Measure
by the time, but
not
by the
excited.
Substance.
Yours. There's never any real substance in yours. But we got these guys here. That's what they're for. They're going to add some substance to the episode.
They're going to bring the substance.
They're going to bring the substance. You're just a good-looking, semi-good-looking, host. You're there just for your eye candy. For the 3 women who listen to our show. So,
it's up from 2, right?
It's up from 2. It's up from 2. According to the data, it's up from 2.
Before we get into you guys, kind of your collecting history, has the growth of Whatnot, and I hope I'm not being presumptuous here because I do assume you guys have grown because I see you basically all over social media, new sellers, Logan Paul, Box Break right around Christmas time, Ninja doing a Pokemon set. Did this growth in 2021 last year surprise you guys?
Honestly, it was astounding. I think so. Eric joined Whatnot, I think, in November of 2020. And I think at that point in time, we were 6 full-time people or 7 full-time. So Eric was our 8th person on the team. And when you look back, fast forward to today, we're 120 or 130 people. And so just on the pure number of people, it's astounding. And we didn't hire that many people to try and grow the business. We hired that many people to try and keep pace, keep the technology improving, keeping the stability improving, ensuring that we still invest really deeply in trust and safety. That point, a year and a couple months ago, we were 0 trust and safety folks. Now we're 15 people whose job it is to maintain the integrity and trust and safety for both the buyers and sellers on the platform. That kind of growth, you just your mind can't comprehend it. And so, I think we obviously worked really hard, but we're also just super lucky that, the communities love what we've built, and we try and still listen to them and keep on building and improving the product for them. I think that's probably why we got to where we are.
You call it a fun eBay, right? And you'll use your own words, but it's an interesting business to build because you have to invest in tech, you have to make sure buyers are happy and sellers are happy, right? So you're kind of always like this pendulum. Can you talk a little bit about that and why you even decided to start Whatnot?
Yeah, I mean, I think as I was telling you guys a little bit earlier, so I'll just recount some of that. I think I started, collecting when I was 6 or 7. And I was collecting Pokemon cards. That was the first, thing that I got into. And of course, then got into sports cards and everything else. And so back in the day, I was using, I'd buy cards, I'd trade cards, and I'd flip them around to try and improve my collection, fill it out. And so I was using Yahoo Auctions, I was using eBay, back when you didn't have payment processing. And, all along, I've always continued to do that. Big into video games. I got into sneakers for a while. And so it was literally my entire life, I've just been buying and selling and collecting things online. And kind of, a couple of years ago, me and my co-founder Logan, we talked about starting the business, and we wanted to start a better marketplace because we've been using these products for so long, and we kept on coming back to the fact that eBay just like, other than adding payment processing, like in 20 years, I don't feel like the product's changed that much. And it just felt like there was something more out there. And what we came on was that one, eBay didn't feel trusted anymore. They hadn't really invested deeply in moderation and a lot of other things that they need to do to keep the community safe. And it just like wasn't fun. I was like hanging out in, on Instagram or in, Facebook groups to hang out with, people I was collecting with. We felt like we just bring that together in a better experience. And like, it was probably just like a foolish belief that we could build a more fun, safer eBay that set us off on this course. And I think it looks it's still a foolish thing. It looks a little bit less foolish today.
It's like social selling. I'm curious, it kind of reminds me of a more fun QVC. I don't know if you guys remember QVC back in the day. Did you ever buy anything from there?
Of course. They're still on Home Shopping Network. Come on, man. I mean, 100% did I buy from there. They used to sell baseball cards on there. Ken Golden was on there.
No way.
Yeah, dude. Ken Golden had like a TV show. Go on YouTube and look it up. I guarantee you find Ken Golden. I'm being dead serious. Ken Golden doing like Home Shopping, QVC, whatever. One of the channels where he's talking about his
Perrier and wearing a
He probably was selling classic at the time. Like the early 90s classic stuff, like 92, 93, like the 4Sport or the classic draft picks. He's probably selling that stuff, scoreboard stuff. Was probably pushing that on. But they sold cards on Home Shopping Network 100%. And then they sold Beanie Babies, which was insane. Guy used to come on and yell, Don something or other. I got 176 different beanies for $99. And you're like, wow, those kind of suck, like, what do you no one wants? Those are the ones they made $1 million of. But yeah, of course I've seen Home Shopping Network.
What I love about Whatnot is, the tech is amazing, right? Like we kind of shrug it off because we only get annoyed at Instagram Live. And I'm curious, Instagram's coming out with a shopping feature too, and how you guys are responding to that, right? Because they might buy you guys instead of making their own. But Instagram has that lag. You're not selling? Instagram comes
Whatnot is not for sale.
Wow.
I
don't know, man. Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, said everybody's got a price.
Yeah, I just I worked at Facebook before I started Whatnot. Funny enough. I couldn't imagine going back. I think we're trying to build a place that we ourselves love to work at, and that type of culture and bring in really great folks. And I don't want to lose that.
I gotta tell you,
you're gonna come in with that paintball gun when they buy you out, like Ari Gold.
I gotta tell you. Let me tell you something. This entrepreneurial spirit. See, I'm older than you. I know we were both selling on eBay in the '90s, but you were selling as a 4-year-old, and I was selling as a 20-year-old. So it's a different scenario, but. I don't know how you got past that whole eBay user agreement when you were 7 selling your Pokemon cards. Maybe you had your parents help, but the entrepreneurial spirit is hilarious, man. I mean, I learned so much about it over the last 600 episodes, year and a half with Andrew. You know how many times someone has offered to buy the podcast for like legitimate money. And he's like, I'm never selling this. I don't care. I'm never working for anyone ever again. And I'm like, well, but you worked for your dad, and then I give him a hard time because he worked in Silicon Valley, he worked on Wall Street. But it is amazing, right? You're like, I don't care if Instagram comes knocking. I built this thing here. I am never getting rid of this. It's amazing to hear that, because if you peel that back a layer, this is your thing, right? So you don't want people questioning it, right? It doesn't matter if there's 120 people, right? When it comes to trust and safety of the product, when it comes to rolling out the best features, you were a consumer, you've built something that you would use as a consumer better than what else was out there. And it's going to take somebody to pry it from my cold, dead hand, so to speak, right? Talk to me about trust and safety, because you brought that up. Because that is the topic du jour. We've asked for folks to come on this. We've got other people coming on later in the week. Obviously, we have a partnership with you guys, so we wanted to get you out there. And we love the partnership. Andrew calls me every Monday and says, if every one of our episodes could be like Whatnot, it would be amazing. It's my favorite thing. I love it. I have so much fun doing it. The audience loves it. It's just a cool platform. I have so much fun. But the topic du jour is trust in the marketplace, especially when, as markets go through their fluctuations, go through up and downs. People take shortcuts. People do certain questionable things. So on your platform, talk to us about the team you have behind it. Kind of your take on trust and safety. Anything that you're doing to kind of protect the consumers on your platform.
Yeah, I mean, at a high level, we want buyers to have really great confidence. Whatever they purchase, they get it safe, it gets packaged well, they get it fast, and the experience is really good. And on the seller side, it's, same story, which is someone purchases, sellers can build a business. We're really stable with how we police and policy things because people are building big businesses off of Whatnot. There are, 10, 20, 30 person operations now of businesses on the back of Whatnot. And to me, just as a consumer, and as a buyer and seller, I've been scammed as a seller. I've been scammed as a buyer. And there's like no worse experience in the entire world. I've actually probably been scammed more as a seller than I have as a buyer, ironically. But that's a topic for
it happens.
You go deep there for a while. And
I told a story about that, man. I sold a transcendent WWF break where it was like a VIP pass. I was in a break. I hit this one. This is the worst thing, right? It's like that first hit a crack, right, Eric? You're always chasing the first one. It's never as good as the first one. But in any event, when you win, when you have that slot machine, right, and you're always chasing, right? This was bad for me because I chased it. I did a transcendent wrestling break, and I hit like at 100 people in it. I hit the VIP meet and greet with like Ric Flair and all the wrestlers, and like go and hang out and take pictures and get all the swag bags and all the top 101 cards and the whole deal. And I think I paid like $300 for the entry into it, and I sold it for like $3,000 on eBay. Right, the week before it was at the Meadowlands, and the guy went. And I knew who it was, the person who bought it, because afterwards he posted about it on his social. He posted on Instagram, I won this on eBay. Here's what I won. Here's how much I paid. Then he posted pictures of him with Ric Flair. I still have every one of these pictures. Like, oh, here's the top swag bag. Here's what I got. And about a week later, I get an eBay claim. He wants a refund. I'm like, how am I supposed to refund you for this? What are you talking about? And PayPal, they're like, yeah, give him a refund. Like, what the hell are you talking about? Give him a refund. I had to send them these pictures. I was like a detective. Like, look at this dude. And his answer was, well, it was supposed to be a VIP party, and I didn't feel like it was really, I didn't feel that important. I didn't feel like really that VIP. And I'm like, one, look at these pictures, man. You're talking to women, wrestlers, they would never speak to you if you didn't pay $3,000. Look what you look like. And two, I'm like, take that up with Tops. How does that have anything to do with me? Anyway, so I know what you're talking about being scammed as a seller. It burns. Yeah. I got my money. Like they ultimately sided with me, but only because I'm a pain in the ass.
Yeah, it would have taken so much time and energy, and like giving you so much anxiety before that happens. Like losing $3,000. Come on.
Yep.
It's there's there's a lot of unsavory characters on the internet, and so we that's always been a founding belief of Whatnot is we want to keep things. We always said safe and fun, and that's what we wanted to make Whatnot. And so, how we do that is we honestly have like a big, we kind of approach it from like multiple angles, actually, I guess. One, we have engineers who are constantly building things to enhance trust across the platform. So we're continuing, like, we're building systems for troll bidding. We're building systems to better monitor people who are being fraudulent. We're building systems to better validate sellers from collecting ID, business information all the way through. And then we have a 15-person operations team. And, what they do, I'd say there's probably like a couple of big buckets of activity that they're looking at.
By the way,
one is this,
kudos to you guys. I just got a text from Whatnot Sports saying Flawless releases on Wednesday. Sellers, if you're opening, I'm literally while we're recording this, I'm getting text messages from you guys. This is amazing.
That's Binder, man. That's Binder and Josh. They do a really good job.
They do.
Dude, Binder and Josh is on top of it. Every step of the way.
We're really lucky to have those guys on the team. You should. They're machines, and then they love the hobby too. So it's kind of beautiful when like your personal interests can like meet work. It's a really nice equation. But we're super lucky to have those guys on the team. I guess back to what we do. Huge team, just like verifying sellers. Probably the number one thing that people ask for on Whatnot is like, can I sell to go live? We've purposely kind of kept that as a smaller funnel of folks. We want to make sure we're vetting them. There's a history, and that we can like make sure they're actually legitimate. So we have a few folks in the team every week. All they're doing is going through that. Then we have a whole team, just a trust and safety team, that is reviewing any complaints or issues, whether they're coming through customer support. So they're looking at lives. They're going in there as someone saying something nasty, is someone harassing someone. If that's the case, they're, you're going to get kicked out of the platform. And then there's a whole buy side. So obviously, like, buyers try and defraud sellers all the time, and so we're kind of like battling fraud rings. There's a whole team of people working with engineering to identify those folks, and a lot of that happens in the background, because, like, if you're a seller, you don't have to worry about fraud and whatnot. We take care of that for you. Chargebacks, don't worry about it. But as a business, we got to make sure we're managing that, getting rid of those folks. And that's a team of people that's going to continue to grow. I'd say this is going to come up, like, one of the more recent and top of mind ones is kind of what happened with backyard breaks, and so that's something that team of folks is handling. And so people, I'm going to assume that most people who are watching are familiar with it, but I'll give a little bit of background. There was a few weeks ago, Backyard Breaks, which is obviously a big reputable breaker, went and was doing some giveaways, and in one of those giveaways they pulled a car of a card. Well, I like to say, a card worth, $20,000-$30,000, and they had a pause about giving it away. I think as any young kid who pulls $20,000 out would. And they made the mistake of not giving it away initially, only to then try and make good on it. And obviously there's a lot of uproar in the community, because I think particularly around breaking, right? Like, trust is really important there, because you're buying into something for $1,000, and you could pull a $50,000 card, and if someone runs away with that, that's a huge thing. And so we had a lot of issues pop up where people are complaining, hey, Backyard Breaks, hit them off the platform, etc. And so what we do in those situations is we, one, kind of look at our policies, and then two, look at what's right for sellers and right for buyers. So in the case of Backyard Breaks, from a buy side, we look at that. They made a stupid mistake, but they did try to make good on it, and it's unlikely that anything in the future. And by the way, this all happened off Whatnot. We officially, before this, didn't have an off-platform policy. We kind of have like some general policies, like be honest, don't scam people, etc. And we always try and look at things from that perspective.
A policy for if you're a seller or Whatnot, but you also obviously sell on other platforms, just for people out there.
Yeah, sorry, yeah,
it's like a morality clause.
Yeah, there's basically a morality clause. Well, we didn't have one beforehand, right? But obviously, this caused a lot of like trust issues in the community. And
I got 5 stars, and everything I sold yesterday is already out at the post office, already shipped.
No,
God. So that's it. It's the morals. That's the morals I bring to the table.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Talk about Backyard Breaks.
Yeah. So you look at it, and like, they tried to make good. They know they messed up. We talked to them about it. It didn't seem like it was going to be a thing that in the future was going to affect buyers. But on the seller side, they've got it's a real business. It was like 10-employee operation. You kind of kick someone like that off the platform, you're having people outside of a job. And so it's a really serious thing. And like, for us, what we want to make sure we do on the seller side is that our policies are really clear, so that you know how to act and you know the decisions you're making. If you need, in order to build a business, you need predictability. If things are going to get pulled the wool underneath you, you can't hire 10 employees, you can't do all those things. And so we take that stuff seriously. And so what we did off the back of this is, one, we talked to them. We gave them a warning, this type of stuff can't happen again. And then we did update we actually came up with an off-platform policy to make sure we clarified that, because we want, with people building real businesses with employees where they're, they need to manage cash flow and those things, it's really, really important we're super transparent there. And I know the community, some parts of the community are not happy with that, but those are decisions we made, and those are why we made those decisions. And we take it really, this was a thing like me and my executive, like everyone who reports into me talked about. I didn't come out really publicly on it, but I was on all of the lives. I was watching as people were talking about it. I read all of Card Porn's posts. I'm kind of like a behind the scenes kind of guy, but I stay very close to how all this is happening. And I think we just want to make sure that we're good to our buyers and we're fair to our sellers. And, I think that's why we made the decisions we did. And I think we feel good about that. And those are the kind of policies that we'll continue to carry forward. I think there's probably some learnings for us as a platform where we probably need to communicate more. My bias, I'm like I'm really introverted. I'm a behind the scenes kind of guy, as you can say, as you can tell. I'm reading everything. People probably don't. I was watching Bikini Breaks. I was in his live after this was happening. He was like, "Man, I just want to talk to the high ups and CEOs of Whatnot. Let them know what's up. I need to hear what they're thinking about this." I didn't say anything, but I'm listening. I just like to be quiet for the most part, but I think that's probably learning on us is like, we started this business 2.5 years ago. We're not going to get everything right. We're just going to try and listen to the community and make sure we adjust along the way. I think we feel really good about how we made the decision and probably not so good about how we communicated the decision, and we'll improve on that over time.
So, Cage, I mean, the lawyer I'm curious if
to go and do something off the platform. That's amazing. I mean, it really is. I mean, to say that if you're going to be somebody who we are authorizing on Whatnot, because you don't authorize everybody, right? I mean, we can talk about that too, because, and I'll get to that in a second. But to say, hey, by the way, it's a privilege to trade here, we're even gonna take that away from you. It's not a right you have, even if it's something you do elsewhere, right? Because you can't provide that sanctuary for somebody if they mess up on Twitch or they mess up on wherever else, and they lose their audience. They can't just come to you the next day and be like, all right, well, we didn't violate any of your rules. What's going on here, right? So I like that. I mean, I really do.
Eric, any thoughts on it? I saw you come off mute, so I'd love to hear from you.
I was just going to say, I think that this comes back to the community component, right? We all want to be good standing members of the community. And the community is not just Whatnot. It's not just Twitch. It's not just YouTube or Instagram or otherwise. You go to these shows, you go to the Nationals, tens of thousands of people there. And what you do is a reflection of you and your business and reputation. And I think that's where this policy comes in, it allows people to understand and have some predictability and consistency, to Grant's point. And you want people to have that and be able to build their businesses in that way. And you want to give them some guiding principles. There's no hobby police, right? There's no enforcement. You have scammer pages. You have other things that people have leveraged in the past. But I think for us, the community and the hobby that is our business, we're members of that community. To Grant's point, we listen, we read, we follow this, we listen to all the podcasts and so on. And it's really important to us that that feedback is heard and that it helps influence some of the decisions that we make as a business.
So I'm curious. I'll go to Grant, then Cage, then Eric on this. Should there be a hobby police? So I'm a big believer that there should be licensing. What do you think, Grant? Like, should there be a hobby police, and if so, who is it?
I think there should be. I think it's really important that people can reliably transact and be safe. I think in an ideal world there is licensing. I don't think the U.S. government's going to institute any licensing anytime soon. And so I think as a function of that, platforms like Whatnot can either, historically platforms have said like, hey, whatever you want to do, you can do and you can sell, and we don't play a heavy hand in things. And I think me as a consumer, when I was building Whatnot, I was really building it for myself, and I could feel that gap. And I didn't want to create another platform where people are just like, hey, hands off, we're not going to. I think it's unfortunate that we have to be the police, but I think we want to build a safe place for everyone. And so trying to establish some of these rules, I think, is helpful. If you look at where live shopping is actually really big is in China. And, I'm always trying to learn about what's best practices for trust and safety. How do we manage these things? I was talking to someone last week and there's not as many issues. In some cases, there's not as many issues because everyone who live sells in China has a license. You need to, if you're going to sell cosmetics, you need a cosmetic license. You're going to sell collectibles, you need a collectibles license. So I think that is actually what should happen. It needs to be done in the right way because government can be heavy-handed, but there's probably a lightweight way to do it. In absence of that, what we're going to do is try and keep Whatnot safe. And we think that's just the best buyer experience and that's the best seller experience. And we're going to focus on building it a good place for the community.
I think the companies that police their own platform are the first step, because I don't think there's licensing. I don't think it's gaming commission. I don't think it's like becoming a blackjack dealer or anything like that. Like, think about the difficulty that there's going to be. These big companies that are opening up state by state, they now have to. You see, MGM is coming to New York, right? You see, so They now have the New York Gaming Commission that's licensing them there and watching that they have different rules than what they have in Las Vegas and what they have in New Jersey. It would be very cumbersome for a lot of the companies to do it. So I think right now, the policing yourself, I got to tell you guys, and I think you do a good job of it only in this regard, right? A lot of companies we've seen come and go. This will take me to a whole nother topic, but just a lot of companies we've seen come and go, in the boom here is, there's craziness, right? There's all kinds of fun stuff. And they open the floodgates and you have the dirty word that starts with a B, not the female dog one, Andrew, backlog, right? So people don't know what they're doing, right? They don't, it's like, okay, and you guys talk about it yourself. If Eric was the 8th employee in 2020, you now have companies that are supported by, built off of the back of your platform that have 2, 3, 4 times as many employees as what you guys had a year and a half ago. There's a scaling that needs to be done. You talk about how you go from 8 to 120 out of necessity, right? My thing about it is the thing we get asked the most right now is, hey, do you know anyone at Whatnot that can get me on Whatnot? No BS. Like, I get that message almost every day. We'll go to card shows and people were like, Cage, you're on Whatnot. How do I get on? And I'm like, you know how it worked for me? Like, I stole extra bomb pops at the National. That was what it was. Like, I just kept going back online and getting extra bomb pops, different disguises. And, I made myself known that way. But seriously, what that means to me is, one, you're building something that there's people want to be on. But two, you're not just opening the floodgates and saying, okay, if everyone wants to come in, that's more money for me. Let's make as much money as we can, right? There is restraint there, which a lot of young companies in this type of a run-up economy wouldn't have. So talk to me about that. Talk to me about the process for getting on, how you kind of, keep the masses at the gate without letting them completely knock you over like a Walmart on Black Friday. Talk to me about that.
Well, it's easy. You ask them to message you, Cage, and then you never reply. And
no, I'm talking about these guys. I reply. I say I have no connections. You can message me. I'll see what I can do. I have no connections. I say Binder, he's awesome, but sometimes he sleeps through my show, so I can't count on him. It's it's an early Sunday morning show. He's out late Saturday night. It's tough. That's my connection. And sometimes he's not awake. It is what it is. We love Binder. But talk to me about that, because guys, I have to give you a lot of credit for it, because we've seen a lot of companies that didn't do that, right? And it's difficult to have that restraint when everything's going good. It's very easy to say, let them all in, because that's more for me. And you didn't do that. So talk to me about that.
Yeah, for what it's worth, the way we think about our business is we're literally just doing everything for the community, and everything starts there, the buy side and the sell side. And the thing that's difficult there is we know that the community really wants safety, but we also know the community really wants to sell on Whatnot. And so those are like two things in some cases are like, at least in the early days, are kind of diametrically opposed. I think what we've always decided is that we'll prioritize safety first. And that was just how we built the business in the early days. Is we wanted to build a safe platform. We felt like that was, some of it just comes back to like me. I'm a collector, I'm a buyer. That's what I want. We're going to build that. I won't lie. We are trying to get more people into the platform. We're trying to scale it up because we know it's an issue, but we're not going to sacrifice, safety. And so what we're doing is slowly over time, we're increasing it. The way we're able to do that is we're investing in technology. So, we're starting to automate ID checks, business checks, automate scheduling to do interviews and onboarding with us. So like everyone who sells live on Whatnot meets with someone at Whatnot. We see you face to face. And we're gonna scale that team out, and we're gonna build technology to help with it. And then once you're on the platform, better reporting tools, technology to identify words where people are harassing each other, to be able to manage that. And so I think there's a real tension there. It's a very tough tension, particularly because users really want to sell. And we want to build something really great for our community. Like I don't even think about building a business, because the truth is like you build something really great for the community and the people, we're gonna be able to create a great business off of that. I don't even worry about that. I just like how do we make it safe but allow people to sell? And we're never gonna open up until we feel like we have confidence in the safety and moderation side. And that's kind of how, and I think that just comes back to how we made the company and what we want to focus on.
Cage, anything else on this? Because I want to ask Eric and then Grant what inning of the hobby we're in. And I think it's half a joke, but it's also half like, dude, we've been through a few cycles here together, don't you think? Like, COVID hit, we thought cards were going to go down. They went to the moon, which made no sense. But then we're like, wait, this is sustained. And then this year, there's a lot, we talk about, there's a lot of new entrants who have lost money. And they get to see both sides. So I'm curious, Eric's sports. Grant, guys, if you don't know, he was a big Pokemon guy. So we'll get to that, give a shout out to a few sellers on the platform. We'll talk that. But Eric, like sports cards, where are we at in this cycle? Are they going to go back up? Any thoughts?
So you said you were going to ask what inning it is. You have to
what
ask that question. There you go. The most cliche question of all time.
I'm gonna take the easy answer and go with the 7th.
Wow.
I think that
that's because it's important to stretch.
It's
easy to stretch. That's why it's
stretch. The interesting thing, I think, outside of what we've been seeing in equity markets, crypto, and so on, past couple of days, past couple of weeks, exception of that. I think the interesting thing is that the hobby and what we've seen on the platform is that people continue to reinvent what they're doing. We chatted before this a little bit about breaks. The market right now and whatnot, people are really excited about slabs and singles. Raw cards and lots were big a couple months ago because no one was able to get cards graded. And so I think that that's the beauty of the hobby, is that people find opportunity. They find new sports. They find investment areas that other people aren't looking at, or players or otherwise. And that's everyone's job, right? In the community, if you will. We're all kind of investing here. And so I continue to be excited and bullish. Actually think it's almost more fun because people are looking for new things to get excited about. UFC is bubbling right now, and it's like, hey, we've collected basketball for years, right? Let's try to uncover new athletes or new areas to get excited about. And I think those are all content opportunities. They're opportunities for people to learn, opportunities for more people to become a part of the hobby, which I think is really exciting. So I think there's a lot of room. I think we saw a bit of a correction, and you can slice this in many different ways, whether it's vintage or modern or otherwise. But yeah, I think we have a lot of room to run. I continue to be bullish around kind of the ways that people will reinvent what they're doing and uncover new investment areas.
Cage, should we do a UFC show, Mr. Cage Lawyer? What do you think? Who knows UFC and UFC cards better than the guy who was brokering deals for Tito Ortiz to get something embroidered on his shorts?
Nobody, but I'll do a UFC show. I mean, it's great. I called this past weekend. Listen, it doesn't matter what it is. I'm right, guys. We've done props the last 2 weekends for football because there's not as many games. So I brought in props. I did 4 prop bets last week, 4 prop bets this week. Everyone has been right. We've got every one of them right.
You guys need to start charging more. For
every single one is right.
Can't be giving this away for free.
Literally everyone. We steamed Josh Allen's rushing yards from 48 to 55.
Everybody was on my Josh Allen play. The yards was 48.5. It went up. It was like 55, and by game time, I'm like, bet it anyway. Doesn't matter. He'll be in the 60s, no problem. And he was. I mean, it's crazy. It's good stuff,
man.
Let's
say a little, moment of gratitude here, because we always complain about bad sports weekends. Maybe the best sports weekend we've had in a long time. So, thank you to the gods. Grant, I love the Pokemon community. Other than the $3.5 million box issue,
you just don't like GI Joe. You don't like GI Joe.
I feel like, let me finish. I feel like you guys are supportive of each other, happy for each other, relatively drama-free. Again, this is from an outsider because I'm not a real Pokemon collector. My co-host is. Any thoughts on Pokemon space?
In regards to kind of where we are and where we're going with it.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see. I across the board, I tend to be more bullish than Eric. So if you were to give me like the inning question, I'd say we're on like the 3rd inning. And I think. I think there's going to be a lot of ups and downs just because people are, using collectibles as assets. and markets have been volatile for a while. But I think, to me, the core of it is like it's a hobby. It's a thing you do to have fun. You collect the cards, you hang out with people, and I just see more and more and more people coming in. There's more and more ways to interact. There's more and more ways to have fun. You look at, even platforms like Whatnot, like the formats, how many people can still get introduced to Whatnot, the number of bigger names, celebrities, and athletes who are getting in. They're going to pull more folks in, and then you just look at what all the other companies are doing. Like Fanatics is making waves. I just don't see how, like, generally speaking, like across any of the trading card categories, we're just not in the early innings. Because all the time I'm just talking to more and more people who are like, oh, I'm getting back into sports, I'm getting back into Pokemon, and I just think that base of people is going to continue to grow because it's fun and there's just more ways to engage online and have fun in the hobby. So I'm bullish on that perspective. Do I think prices I think prices will go up and down like this. But I just think there's more ways to kind of have fun online and be a part of a community. And I think that's just going to continue to grow.
I haven't answered that question in a long time, by the way. Andrew, I haven't answered that. I'm going to say the third inning also. But a little twist on it is I think that we're all playing our own game. Right? The hobby's got its game. I think we're all playing our own game. I think that the first 2 innings were lopsided, crooked numbers, as they like to call them, right? Because what happened was you were able to get a jump on the pitcher. Maybe you were stealing the signs, right? Maybe they were tipping their pitches, right? Maybe you had some sort of an advantage in those first couple of innings over Joe Hobby, right? And now in these middle innings, third, fourth inning, people are making adjustments, right? The shift is being put on you when you're up to bat now, right? And it's going to be whether or not you're able to adapt your game in these middle innings to what the other side is bringing to you. That's going to determine whether you stay in the game, whether you're lifted for a pinch hitter, whether you make it to those later innings and get it to beat up on their bullpen, right? I really think that's what's going on now. Can you bunt against the shift? Can you lay one down? Are you able to, like Eric was saying, are you able to be nimble enough to explore another area, another sport, something else, right? Can you move into UFC cards? Because the basketball cards now, everybody knows what to do in there, Can you move into, when PSA is not that easy flip, right, which it was in the first couple of innings, can you find an arbitrage with SGC grading their cards? Or do you now grade at a higher level type of card, right? Do you grade at the levels that are open? I think now you're at a point, it is early, but I think you have to be a little bit more active, right? You have to be a little more reactive to what's being thrown at you in the hobby now. And maybe in inning 6, 7, or 8, maybe it'll be easy. Maybe our oldest Chapman will come in and give one up again. That's what he does, But I guess we'll see. I haven't answered that in a while, and I had this little.
Answer. I like that. I want to ask these guys about digital collectibles, right? Do you guys see a platform at Whatnot becoming a buy-sell side for digital collectibles, social selling of NFTs, Panini Digital, Top Shot Moments? Is that something that you've considered? Is that even feasible?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're really excited about digital collectibles being a big thing in the future. I think, when NBA Top Shot, a year ago, I feel like everyone was into NBA Top Shot. Everyone on Whatnot, including myself, I was buying every moment. I was there sitting in line for every drop, and it was fun.
It was chaos. That was 1 year ago. From this point, it was chaos.
Yeah, and I think before that moment in time, I don't know that I would have said like digital collectibles are going to be huge, but I just had so much fun. And I think Eric, we use Slack for like company communication. I'm pretty sure we still got the NBA Top Shots channel in there. And like soon as like a drop's going down, everyone's pinging each other and we're getting in line.
Get in the queue. Bro, yeah. I have 250,000 in moments. How do I not get any queue? That's you.
Yeah. And so
I never got anything but a base pack. I'm a VIP. I'm a VIP of VIPs. And I never got a hollow pack. I never got a gold pack. I never got anything. Nothing.
Karma hits hard, right? You sold a BS VIP ticket to that guy who went to WWE.
Yeah, that's what it was.
They're showing you what being a VIP really means.
That's some bullshit. But yeah, I mean, but it changes, right? I mean, think about it. In the first couple innings, if you were there in January, the pitching machine was throwing the ball 30 miles an hour to you. You were hitting it out every single swing. It got to March, and all of a sudden they're throwing 90 in the cage at you, and you better put a helmet on. You know what I mean? So things adapt, right? I mean, yesterday I bought UFC moments from them for the first UFC strike. I bought UFC moments from them. They were garbage, and they were $50. They're $50 a pack, and every moment was out of like 25,000. I mean, like, what am I even doing? Because I got extra dapper. You might as well use it. But
I want to get back to grip, but like financials aside, Top Shot, we're looking back 10 years from now, we're going to be like, this is what got so many people into digital collectibles.
Yep. And so just to close my answer, we actually kind of soft launched our NFT selling experience 2 weeks ago. We're getting started with wax NFTs. So we started with Funkos, and there's also MLB and, a couple other things there. And so, and, the early, and, we're when you look at like NFTs, there's kind of like, I don't know, two broad flavors. They're like, there's NFTs for like crypto enthusiasts, and you get your like MetaMask wallet, and you head over to OpenSea, and you're paying in Ethereum, and that's like a hardcore person. We've just always viewed our platform more for collectors, and so we're trying to make it really easy. Use your credit card. You don't need a wallet. You can store them on whatnot. And so we actually have sellers going live pretty much every day selling now, and we're pretty excited about the future of digital collectibles. And so it's gonna be really interesting when to see how it evolves, because I think you're gonna see physical and digital intermix. I just honestly just born out of like, I think collecting digital is fun. NBA Top Shots was a great experience, and I think it's going to be part of the future of collectibles. And so as a platform built for collectors, we wanted to build something fun there.
Gage had a great idea. I don't want to steal it, but to integrate.
I forgot it already, so steal it.
With like Panini Digital. How are we doing on time? I want to be respectful of you guys.
I can keep going. I think I got some more time if you guys want to keep going.
I gave Panini a great idea. You talking about my color blasts? I gave Panini the greatest idea ever, and they didn't listen. They listened to some of my ideas. But sometimes there's just too many great ideas. You can't execute on all of them. Especially when you talk to me. You talk to me for a half hour. I'm going to give you 2 years. It could be like a year to execute all my ideas. But what would bring the digital stuff, especially Panini, because it's a digital version of an actual physical card? What would bring that to levels like you wouldn't believe was they did, just like Top Shot. Remember they had that master challenge with the LaMelo ball, LaMelo Cool Cat Master Challenge, right? So they did a master challenge for a color blast of LaMelo. And you had to do all of the other challenges, and just like Top Shot. And some of the challenges, like Giannis Color Blast and Ja Color Blast, they were only like 60 people who did the challenge. Right? It was very difficult to do it. So ultimately, LaMelo, there was like 60 of them, or 62, or something like that, total of the Color Blast challenges that were done for LaMelo. What I told them they should do was they should send everyone who finished the 62 a Color Blast physical LaMelo rookie numbered to 62 to match the number that they did. How much would it cost? I don't care if they hand drew them. It wouldn't cost that much money. We talk about 10,000. I know the printing presses and they could figure out a way to do it. It wouldn't be that costly. 62 of them? Come on, make 68. Give Grant and Eric extra ones. Fine. But keep it limited. And you're giving now that physical digital combination. The first one of those that goes for sale, right? And people actually see that the only way you can get that numbered Color Blast or a Kaboom numbered, the only way you're able to get that is by collecting digital. The next week, they 10x their amount of users. Easy. Because people want that physical, tangible thing, but they realize the way to do it is digital. They didn't do it.
I think that we're going to start seeing here, and I want to pass it there. Businesses built by collectors are going to sustain because collectors truly know what the community wants. Businesses built for the sake of business, I don't think they're going to make it in this Web3 world.
Yeah, I was going to touch on something Grant mentioned. So in our soft launch, we've been working on the Wax blockchain, and that's where the Funko NFTs are. And I think Funko is a perfect example, right? Like they know they're collectors, and so the most exclusive, the grails and the Funko NFTs are actually redeemable for physical Funko Pops. And the beauty there is That's something that they know works, that their community already collects and has a desire for. And there's a FOMO aspect to it where if you didn't get in on those packs or you didn't get in on the secondary market by a certain date, you don't have that redeemable. And so I think that there's an extension of that. We discussed Top Shot as being a major on ramp for NFTs and digital collectibles. And I think Funko's smaller scale, if you will, example where they're bridging digital to physical, we'll end up seeing on Whatnot. I don't know, maybe we can say we're the first marketplace that has sold both the digital and the physical collectibles. But I think that that's a really positive experience. And you'll see that as a continued on-ramp for more people that love to collect physical things and have affinities for the IP and the players and so on, and then can also have a physical component of it.
It's both. It's both. And it makes life more fun when sometimes you collect digital, sometimes you collect physical, and then there's like this collision of worlds. I want to wrap. So you remind me a lot, Grant. You remind me of my high school, probably one of my best friends, Jimmy Clark. You remind me a lot of him. Like you said, introverted, but like just a hustler. You work
Jimmy.
You know, Jimmy, he's been on our stream.
Jimmy.
If you were to like kind of like, you know, if you guys go on LinkedIn, you'll see both Eric and Grant's kind of resume. Very prestigious. And the thing that stuck out to me was the Y Combinator and the mentorship that I know that comes with the Y Combinator. If you guys look at the startups and businesses that have come through there, it's like the Belichick coaching tree type of thing. If you had to put your hand around like some of the young entrepreneurs in the space and give them any advice, any feedback, you know, this, you know, 1, 2, 3, boom, 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 this is what I recommend. Lessons that you learn from the Y Combinator. It doesn't have to be yours, you know. Where would you go? What would you share? Because a lot of people on the other end of this, they're not just sports card collectors. You know, Slab Strong, for example, he's building his business with protecting cases. A few people have built like the display cases. There's a lot of entrepreneurs listening. What would you recommend?
Is this just for Grant, or did Eric also go through the flex capacitor?
Eric was not with us at the time of going through the flex capacitor. It's unfortunate.
Is that from Back to the Future, Cage?
Yes, he got one. He got a movie. He got a movie, folks. He got one. No. My life is complete. I don't have to do any more episodes. I'm finished. It took 560 whatever of these. We got one. We got a movie. Sorry. Go ahead, Grant.
Yeah, no worries. You know, I think what you mentioned, like, you know, if you want to be an entrepreneur, particularly in like technology, there's no better place to learn from than Y Combinator. We wouldn't be at the same company we are today without them, and continue to think incredibly highly of them. They actually have tons of materials online, startup school, etc. Honestly, like going deep on those things. I'll give you a few bits of advice. I think the truth is, you know, building businesses are very complex. And so I can give you a couple of things, but there's so much nuance and there's so much more to it than that. And so I think you got to be a sponge and try and find people who are really good and learn from them. Y Combinator is one of those places. You can find mentors and advisors. That's another thing. You know, probably my 3 things would be, you know, I think you read about shit in the news and it looks easy. Whatever you start, you're going to have to work harder than you've ever had to work in your entire life. Like, it's no moment's easy. And even when you have success, it just becomes harder. Like we've had a moderate level of success with Whatnot. I always thought the early days would be the hardest. We were like working in a garage in Phoenix. We had like no money. I was doing customer support. I was packing boxes. I was doing marketing. I was doing fundraising. I was working from 8 a.m. till, you know, 1 a.m. every single night. And our garage in Phoenix didn't have AC. So it was like 110 degrees in there in the summer. So I think, you know, 1, there's no easy path. You have to be prepared to like put in the effort and work really hard. I think 2, all great businesses just solve a real problem for people. YC's mantra is build something that people want. I think that's the most elegant statement for a business. You should really hold yourself accountable to, like, if you're building a business, make sure you're actually solving a problem or building something that people want. And then, God, what would be my number 3?
Is that like versus what you want, right? Because sometimes people build businesses like, I want this, but the market doesn't, and they try to like kind of put a circle in a square peg.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to. I've seen two critical mistakes from people building businesses. One is that they only build something strictly for themselves, and they try and bring it to the market and to people, and they'll be like a year or 2 years in, and people still don't love it. They still don't want it. And I've seen people pound their heads up against the wall and spend tons of money and do things. And I think you have to be really honest with yourself too. Like, hey, you can start, like we started Whatnot from a place of we built something for ourselves. We felt like other people were going to want it, but we put it out in that market really fast and to see if that was actually the case. And so you do need real validation there. The flip of that is, because it is so hard, it requires real brute force and effort to get things going. And so there's this really tough sweet spot of make sure you like push incredibly hard to get something off the ground, but don't kind of be so headstrong that your idea is right. Like when me and Logan, who are my co-founder, I think part of the reason we were successful is our philosophy for when we started the business was we're going to just pay attention really, really deeply to what people want. We're going to, we're a software company, so the core of what we build is software. We're going to build really good software. We're going to do it really fast, and we're going to just work our asses off, like, as hard as we can. And so we had a hypothesis for what was going to be a good business, but we never believed, like we weren't certain that was the case. And we were always, and I could go, there's a longer story of Whatnot. Like where Whatnot is today actually is not, we never thought we were going to build a live video streaming platform, for instance.
Wait a second. What did you think it was going to be?
We were just like focused, again, we were focused on like safer, more social eBay. So the first version of the platform was more asynchronous marketplace, much safer. We kind of stumbled into live video because I was like attending all these Funko Pop auctions on Instagram, and then got into like card breaking on Twitch, and was like, oh, like this is like, doesn't seem that good. It seems pretty broken on the seller side. Like we can build something way better here. And so I think there's this element of, that's what I mean. Like for us, it was about the process of, we had a good process for building the company. And you don't know what you don't know until you do something. And so you do have to have this like level of honesty. Even if it hurts, you might as well admit when you're wrong. And yeah, we got some stuff wrong in the early days. We just rolled with the punches, and eventually we're able to figure it out. And a lot of that stuff is in like, if you go to Y Combinator startup school and things like that. So I like to recommend it as a resource. You'll get much more nuance. Because starting a business is hard. There's a lot to it. But there's a lot of good materials online. Look for really reputable folks. There's also a lot of like swindlers out there telling you how to start businesses. Make sure you go to the proper sources.
So find good employees, right? Because you don't really even try. I've heard you don't train good employees. You find good people like Binder, Josh, Eric. I'm sure, just around, I've got a chance to get to know Binder and Josh quite a bit over the last 6 months. Good people, very diligent as well, right? Good people. I'm curious. I'm going to go to Eric and then you, and then we'll wrap, Cage, unless you have anything else. Influencers in the hobby, such a polarizing thing. We need influencers, and I'm talking like big influencers, but also micro influencers. We need them because they bring their own audience. But at the same time, they cause prices to go up, people say. Where do you guys stand? You guys are well connected. You had Ninja on. I think a guy has millions of followers. Logan Paul on, millions of followers. Influencers in the hobby, good, bad, but probably somewhere in the middle. Any thoughts on that?
I think to echo some of what Grant was saying earlier, I think we're all members of these communities, right? And we're conscious of things like what you're getting at, of people saying, hey, pick up this player, and then they've got a stash and then they're dumping it and so on. So just being conscious of who you work with. What we do on our platform, we chat about trust and safety, seller onboarding, all of these things. We're very diligent around that. And I think that there's an extension to who we partner with publicly. You don't see us out there partnering with everyone in the world to blast our name out. That's intentional. We want to work with the right people that are good standing members of the community that we want to get behind and so on. There's an element of having entertaining and engaging content, of course, and influencers can help with that. And so I think, as we continue to build, it's just identifying the right partners, the people that good standing members of the community have an affinity for, people we have an affinity for as being a part of the hobby. And then, ultimately creating the go-to place for that type of content that we all would want to consume, right? Like Grant will tell you, we all have screen time, double-digit screen time. A large majority of it is whatnot. It's pretty unhealthy, but we do consume this stuff, and we're a part of it as well. And so I think bringing on those people that we think can help us, that create good content, that are good for the community, that are healthy, and so on, are things that we'll continue to do.
Grant, thoughts? Influencers? You partying with Logan Paul?
I was not partying with Logan Paul, though. He's actually been a really great person and incredibly easy to work with. So I can only say positive things about him. And some of the people from our team did, I think, party with him and his family at Christmas, like literally, tequila shots on Christmas with the family. So he invited our team into his house for Christmas. Sorry. And so, that's pretty cool.
LA or Puerto Rico?
They were in Puerto Rico. So when we did that break, there's two guys on the team who were in Puerto Rico dancing and doing tequila shots with the Paul family. And I think that says something about
secretly subbing in a case of Pokemon and replacing the other one.
No,
it's like like a Mission Impossible episode here. It's great. I love it. You can see the Whatnot team.
How can you do that? Without a transcapacitor.
That's right. You need a flex capacitor. Close, but I like that you're trying.
Yeah. I understand the double-edged sword sort of thing with influencers. I think, look, when Logan Paul got into Pokemon cards, he did raise the prices. Like, that brought a lot more people in. I think, and I can understand people's frustration, particularly people who are like super passionate and can no longer get some of the product and the things that they, would want to. Like, look at Pokemon and the prices of vintage items before and after, and it's like astronomical. You can't afford a lot of people to get those packs anymore. I think the thing that's tough, of course, is that, like, I don't think you get to say who can go in and collect something. And if people are into it, like, you got to let as many people in. It should be an open community, and you should let all the good folks in that you can. I think there's something to be said about those people who are doing stupid things as influencers. I don't think anyone wants them, and I think you can say, get the hell out. But other than that, I think you got to have open arms with everyone else in the community, and there's some positives and some negatives with that. Obviously we work with influencers, so we've, in part from that, we've kind of like taken a side where we said, okay, we believe, but I think that's in part like, who are you to say you can't collect Pokemon cards and talk about it if, like, you're into it? You don't have any right to do that. And even people who've been in the hobby early on, they'll get some benefits from it. I think it's here to stay. I think it's the right thing, though I can understand how people get annoyed and the reservations around it, because it does cause change, and some of that change is painful and bad.
Any final questions? I have one quick one for both Eric and Grant. Cage, anything final?
Well, I mean, if I'm allowed 1 minute, Well, I mean, I want to be mindful of their time. So, I kind of know where you're going with it, because, I mean, I already know what your answer is going to be, because, just spending an hour with you guys, seeing how you've built up the platform and partnering with the businesses that are on it and realizing that they're also building something the way you built something with your support and your help building it on your back. Do you guys have like an outreach? You work with your business partners? Because the thing that concerns me the most, and, we kind of touched on this a little bit, is people grow, and you guys have done it the right way. You didn't open the floodgates. You have managed that growth over time. But some of the people on your platform, they've got some growth. They've got some, and on every platform, it's not just yours. They're breaking and they're making money, and they got all this craziness stuff coming in, and it's boom, and let me expand, and let me get some office space. And we've seen it. We talked about Backyard Break. We didn't talk about Mark's, the submission, because that really has nothing to do with you guys. But it's a perfect example, right, of the market may not stay the way it is, right? Whether we're in the third inning or the seventh, next inning might hold something different, right? So, are you guys there to support these guys, to kind of give guidance to them? Can the sellers on your platform, you work with them hand in hand? What are you guys doing in that regard to make sure that, like, someone who's selling your platform can weather a slight downturn? You know what I mean? If you got a couple minutes.
Do you want to take this one, Eric, or do you want me to?
I'll start. I'll kick it to you. I think it's a great question. I think the beauty of the platform is that it's given a lot of people a platform to really build and build something much bigger than maybe what they had ever thought they would build, especially in their hobby. So they've now created a career out of it. And not everyone has the answers. Grant shared some. There's good resources online. But many of them may not know how to scale, what a team looks like, how to manage it, how to manage cash flow, something as simple as that, how to invest in product, what to put on the table, and so on. And so we have a team there. And the guys that you mentioned that you've chatted with, Finder, Moff, Josh, they all do this every day, day in and day out. It's partnering with people, understanding the challenges they're facing, helping them overcome them, understanding the challenges of scale and how to do that in the right way. And where we see opportunities in the platform, and honestly pushing them as well to grow, right? Because there are partners that we really believe in and see a lot of opportunity. And so I think it's part of the beauty of the business. Our sellers' businesses are our business, right? And we have the ability to influence and help people scale out strategically. And so I think everyone needs to be smart in how they do that. But across all of our teams, we have people every day that are we're chatting with these partners every single day, every week, day in, day out, and helping guide them on scaling out. And some know how to do it and some don't. But that's part of our job is to help people scale and help them build something bigger than they ever thought.
One thing I might add in there, building a business is hard, and as a function of that, this is an area we're actually continuing to invest in. We're hiring more people to help, bring people from 0 to 1, build out, best practices. We do partner with people to help scale their company. Like, hey, we have worked with folks to, give them a loan to help scale it out and, work on targets. And we try and do that in a smart way, where like we're running it like our business. We know some of those risks. So, it's tough though. Running a business is tough, and there's ups and downs. And I think we'll just continue to invest there and play a role in that, and hopefully help. As Eric said, our seller success is our success, and so we'll continue to invest there and help them build good businesses.
Grant, your prize card in your collection.
Prize card. Probably the most expensive card I own is a shadowless PSA 9 Charizard. Not
first edition?
Not first edition.
All right. Well,
no.
If it's first edition, you say first edition. If it's not first edition, you say shadowless.
I more just buy the things that I like. I obviously would like to have a first edition shadowless PSA 10 Charizard.
Me too.
I can't afford a Ferrari in my pocket. At least
you should put it around your neck. No?
Yeah. But no. I got some Brady's, Edelman's. I just to me, collecting is not about the dollar value. It's just about the thing that's fun, and I just buy the stuff that I can see.
I like the Japanese Charizard. People they say it's like out of style, but I thought the Japanese one's kind of cool. No, seriously, people said it was out of style. Like that was a direct quote from you, probably. Actually,
no. There's different Japanese ones. The 96 one without the rarity sign, no rarity symbol, is actually pretty damn rare.
Yeah, that's the one I like.
The 96.
Eric, you're a sports guy. You're a sports guy. Right?
Mine's unconventional.
Ooh, here we go.
I do have a couple Sports Illustrated for Kids tear sheets that I think are not ripped. They're in storage, but that was my favorite magazine. And actually, last night Sasha T was live on Whatnot. He had a Tony Hawk BGS 8.5. They're really tough to grade, and I was really close, and I've been regretting it all morning. I should have just grabbed it. But I kind of like the more unconventional stuff that you don't see every day. Just kind of obscure slabs and so on. But those tear sheets kind of there's a nostalgia element to me. I remember getting them in the mail and so on. So,
Cage, yours.
What, my favorite card?
I said most prized.
I mean, it's also my most valuable. I have to say it's the PSA 10 Jordan rookie. I know it's a cop out, but it's because of how I got there. It's more of the journey and the hobby, right? It's that I had not spent a lot of money on cards, and some of them went up, and I wound up making a big sale of a lot of cards, and doing right by somebody, and then they turn around and say, "Hey, I know I got somebody who will sell us Jordans if you want two of them. I know you have the money because you just got it from me." You know what I mean? And it's the story of it. It's the community of it.
Extravagant trade. It was an extravagant
Basically,
trade.
yeah. And I mean, it's got a lot of fun little layers to it because it's I was right about a bunch of cards. I was wrong about a bunch of cards. Then I sold them and helped somebody onboard somebody into the hobby who prior to that had maybe some not so great involvement in the hobby, and then went on to build a relationship with this person, and they've spent millions of dollars in the hobby. And so I like that story, for that reason. It starts with a 2018 purchase for $14,000 of a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar PSA 8.5 that I did not have $14,000 for, and Heritage had to give me a payment plan for. You know what I mean? So to turn that into now owning a Michael Jordan PSA 10 outright, it's a cool progression in the hobby over the course of a year and a half. So,
ironically, that was the month he met me. So maybe the best month of your life was August 2020.
So that was a fun month because it was like where I'm putting how much in a FedEx box, and FedEx will only insure how much, and what am I doing, and I'm sending it where? Logan Paul lives next door to you. Where am I? Dorado.
And this is before we had a 6-figure podcast. We basically had 6 listeners on the podcast when we first started. So
there's stories to it. I mean, I have some 1933 Gaudi, Ruth, and Gehrig's that the PSA cases are so old because I bought them 20 years ago. I show them and people are like, those are fakes. I'm like, it's not a fake. It's just that's what a PSA slab looked like when I bought it 2 decades ago. It's not fake. So it's funny stuff. It really is. It is what it is. So that
LukaNation audience, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. I know I did. As partners, wanted to say thank you. It's true what I say. I love the Sunday morning show. I think no one else does partnerships like us, honestly, because we're not just like, how much do we get paid? And, what do you want us to do? Oh, rip cards? Okay, cool. We created a whole new show, Sunday morning NFL kind of countdown with slabs attached, with banter, with props. So thank you guys for providing the platform. Thank you, Grant, Eric, for taking the time to help on the show. We really appreciate it. Wish you guys all the success in the world. Anything, if someone's listening, create an account on whatnot, anything you want, any action steps for our audience?
Eric, you want to go?
Go for it.
I don't have anything, I don't really have anything.
Follow us on LukaNation on whatnot.
Check out whatnot. See if you're into it. We hope you are. I myself and Eric put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in it, and hopefully, just a good place for people to hang out in the community.
The call to action he was asking for was, guys, if you are not on Whatnot yet, get out from under that rock that you live under and sign up for it already. I mean, it is one of the easiest, if not the easiest platform from a seller standpoint, from a buyer standpoint. It really is. I love watching progress like this because Grant, you did it yourself. We've been on other platforms, and to see where we've gone and to just think about how much better you guys are going to continue to make it, it's really cool. So, guys,
there's deals for buyers and sellers. Like on our show, some buyers who aren't like a part of our community jump in. They're like, "What are you auctioning off?" They might gobble up, a burrow for $20 and a PSA 10. Maybe they relist that in their vault and get $50. So there's arbitrage opportunities even in a down market where ETH and crypto and S&P is down like 50%. I don't know. I don't look at the S&P, but the cryptos are down like pretty high. You have some opportunities.
The market's getting killed today. The market was down like 950 points earlier today. Everything's getting killed. Bad news. Yeah.
Objectively,
relative to ETH, I could get more ETH.
I was just gonna say, objectively, I think it's a fun place to transact, to hang out. You don't even need to buy anything. There's a lot to learn. It's a way to interact with the community, like-minded people, and there's a bunch of collectibles. It's not just sports cards. You can grab comics and other things. And so, personally, I think it's really fun. and we'll make sure to tick up your screen time on your phone. And yeah, I would definitely recommend jumping in and being part of it.
Any one
Thank you,
seller
guys.
you want to have on that's huge, like like Darren Ravel, all his ticket stubs, you want them. We sort of have a relationship. Just kidding.
We've been talking with Darren for a bit. We need to get him on.
He's recovering from shoulder surgery, so once again.
Now
All right,
I've gotten Darren to show me his ticket collection. It's something.
It's
to
not
behold.
bad. It's not bad. It's not bad. It's not bad. Darren, if you're listening, we love you. Wish you a speedy recovery. From all of us in LukaNation, thank you guys.